Hello, everybody, and welcome to ZoomZoomers on the 24th of August 2020. Still kind of during the lockdown of 2020, and I'm pleased to say that we've got some people waiting to come in. As always, apologies if there's any bad language. I'm sure there won't be. I'm at DC_F1 on Twitter, Damien Cross, but I know you're not here to see me, so I'm going to let all the guys in and see who we've got for this time around. I see some names in front of me now, but give it a few seconds because I know there's a slight delay before they arrive for you guys. But I can see Alan, I can see Neil, I can see Joe, I can see Neil, I can see Ian. Fantastic. So how are you all? How are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, can hear you.
You know what? I'm not actually plugged in, so if there's bad sound quality, it's my fault. Hopefully I'm a bit clearer now. Can you hear me better now? Or I can hear you shuffling around. Alan, I can hear you clear as day. Mark Turner, I don't know if his screen is frozen or what's happened there, but I could just see Mark's finger, which is very lovely.
It's an improvement.
Not his best angle. But we'll go through some introductions before we let other people in. So Alan, you're at the top left of my screen. If I could take your name and your Twitter handle, please.
Hi, I'm Alan Bradley. I am a presenter of the Motoring Podcast, and my Twitter handle is at AJP Bradley, Bradley.
Okay, now I'm not sure if it's just me, but I lost Alan there. Did anyone else hear Alan, or I'm not sure if it's just me? Nobody heard Alan.
It was fine, yeah, I heard him.
Yeah,
It was fine. As long as you heard him, I'm sure Zoom and the people watching heard him. So sorry about that. Let's go with Joe next. Joe Tanner, please.
Yeah, Joe Tanner at Stuff About Cars, and I work for an OEM.
Thank you. And Mark Turner.
Yes, I am Mark Turner, Blacktop Media UK on Twitter, and sort of a non-discriminate job title.
A non-discriminate job title. Okay, I think we've all got one of those. Yeah, until very recently, I had a job title that certainly didn't appear in any drop-down menus. But now I haven't even got a job title now, so that's weird. Neil.
Hi, I'm Neil Briscoe. I'm a freelance motoring journalist, mostly for the Irish Times and CompleteCar.ie, and you can find me on Twitter at Neil M. Briscoe.
Fantastic. Thank you, Neil. Near.
Near Kahn, at near_Kahn, spelled like that. And I'm a vehicle designer.
Fantastic. Thank you. Ian.
Hi, Ian Cook from Pop Band Colour, artist and creative person in a studio in Coventry.
Excellent. How's that all going, Ian? Is it all right? This you've opened up again and accepting visitors, but has it been an action-packed week for you, or has it been a bit slow?
Yeah, I'm just editing all the images, all the continuous car stuff I've done. I'm now editing them, so the 600 images to go through. So it's like doing it in chunks, because it's just like getting through them all to then make both the merchandise and the book and everything else that goes with it. So it's been a bit of creation, but a lot of just editing images on the old laptop. So,
well, this is something I was going to ask you, because I've seen you've released or put pictures of some new pin badges recently based on the continuous car drawings, but they're not exactly the same as the continuous car drawings. So you're having to tweak them slightly to be able to get them ready to be produced as pin badges and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's done with a company called House of Logos in Sheffield. So I send the drawing to them, and then they've simplified the drawing down even more to just like simple, like just a black outline and then some simple colors. And then so they're going to get. I think they're coming out. I should have them by the end of the week or early next week. So they're the first kind of idea of what to do, along with the stickers and T-shirts and everything else. So once you get the image, you can then kind of do different things, but you've got to edit that image first. That's the main thing. So
okay, but the images that you originally did were for a book, for the continuous vehicles book. I believe was what it might be called. So are the images that go in the book the originals, or have you had to tweak those as well then?
No, all the originals have gone. They've all been bought by people, so
right,
or purchased or commissioned or whatever. So I haven't really got any left because they're all kind of done to order. Really, there's some left. Like when I was watching the F1 and stuff, I did some drawings, and there's some that I wanted to do, like Super Tourers, and that's what led to doing the Matt Neal piece for Dynamics over the weekend as well.
Right.
So they got in touch and said, look, can we have one of Matt's 5 5 cars that he won his championships with over the 700 races. So that was quite a cool thing. And there's something else being released next week. So yeah, so it's led to other things that aren't in the book but are linked to the project.
Excellent, thanks. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, can't wait to see. Wait to see the book, but I can't wait to see any other things as well. Sorry, Neil.
Can I just reassure Ian that I'm going to get a better frame for the Triumph picture than the current crappy IKEA one that it's in, but I just haven't got around to it yet. But,
I literally edited your image today. Yours was on the batch that I've been doing in batches of 50 at a time. So yours was in the latest batch edited.
Am I on page 599?
The thing is, Neil, yours has actually made it to a frame. Mine hasn't yet.
Mine's made it to a shit
case.
Mine's made it to a shit frame though, which I think is slightly worse.
I've got a pop band colour artwork just lying around. It's just what
there.
Money in the bank, baby.
So the Triumph that you're mentioning, is this the one with the James May storyline behind it, or have I?
This is the one with the James May storyline behind it, which I think we published a piece about on Influx many years ago, didn't we? Yeah. That's the one I won
like 1
from
year
James
ago.
May. Yeah.
It's a good story about driving across Ireland in the car, and it's a really good insight. So that's still up on Influx as far as I can make out. So. Brilliant. Thanks for that. Andrew's arrived. Andrew, sorry to call you back to you. Yeah, hello. Could you let us know your name and your Twitter handle, please?
My name's Andrew Ryan, and I'm clearly in the wrong room here with all these incredibly impressive journalists and designers and all that stuff. I'm the Car Factoids.
The Car Factoids. I think every single person here is feeling like they're the odd one out. I think that's no. Even though this is probably, I have to say, the least diverse ZoomZoomers we've had for a while. Where have all the ladies gone? Have we scared them off? What's happened here? Hopefully
I probably have.
This happens eventually.
IMO.
I'm sorry. Well, you've got diversity with me. You've got diversity.
We've got overseas. We've got Ireland. We've got Israel.
No, I meant diversity in both ways. By the way.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Nia, are you in? Where are you at the moment? Are you in Israel?
I am, yes. Well, we can't really leave. Well, we can leave, but it's hard to come back.
Oh, right. Okay. A bit like it is over here with certain countries, but it's good to see there is still an international spread of people. So, Alan, let's go back to you. Obviously, the host of you're surprised by me coming to you.
I'm always terrified when you do that. Yeah,
really. It's because I don't prepare anyone for anything. Because a lot of this is kind of we see who's here, and then depending on who's here, we have to fit around that. So, Alan, the great thing about you is you do a weekly podcast, which some people probably know. A lot of people probably know. How has it gone this week? Have you managed to get one out? There's probably one due in a couple of days' time, but last week's one has been and gone.
Last week's one has been and gone. You have to remind me what it was we talked about last week because I've now forgotten.
I did listen to it. Oh,
so they come out on a Wednesday morning anyway, normally. But we had a second one. So some weeks at the minute, when there's time, when I can get people lined up, it's mostly down to time because guests are tricky. Then I'm doing a second one that comes out on a Friday, or at least that's the aim. I only got a chance to speak to Tim Aldland on Friday, and then did the edit on Saturday morning. So I had a chat with him about a new venture that he's just launched, which is all about car events, and it's like a car event finder. So you can, if you're organizing an event, you can register it, and it's free at the minute. You can register an event, and then when it comes to, I think I said this in the podcast, if you're like me and you get to Friday and it's like, oh, I've got nothing planned this weekend, I wonder what's happening. You can say, well, show me all the events within 20 miles of me, and it'll do that, and it lets you find stuff. So the idea is that it becomes a one-stop shop. And it's, if you'll excuse the plug for Tim's gig, it's at Raduno.events. That's RADUNO.events. No .com or anything like that after it. And it should have launched today.
Oh, very interesting.
Monday. So that's why there's a little bit of a rush to get it out on to get it out over the weekend. So that was out just when it came out.
Well, it's great to see that there's this kind of massive urge to get car shows and events out there, and not let 2020 be a complete write-off. I know, for example, for Ian, a lot of people know Ian because they've seen him in the flesh at events, and that's kind of what, from my point of view, it's kind of what makes him so endearing. And you know, when you buy a piece of artwork from Ian, it's kind of like, yeah, that's that guy who was at that event. So Ian, I guess for you, it has the event season starting and starting to happen been good for you, or haven't you really had a chance to take advantage of it yet?
Yeah, it's still in a bit of a state of flux in many ways. There's some people there's some things like the at the moment that you've got the classic car show planned at the NEC. There's an event at Bicester Heritage in a couple of weeks' time, like classic car drive-in event, and that's done with Brand Events who do Car Fest as well, and they did the London Classic Car Show, because the last show I was at was the London Classic Car Show in February, so I've not been at any event since then. And at the moment, there are certain events starting up. The Box and Gas over the weekend, and certain ones are starting. I think it's just people are just working out how gatherings work, and the natural thing at car events is people kind of meet together and huddle together and pour over each other's cars, and it's just working out. For me as a trader, people going through my prints and close contact is I don't know.
It's really tricky, isn't it?
So I've with the continuous car stuff, I've got enough getting on with that, so but I do miss that social element of seeing friends and catching up with people and that. I'm definitely not somebody who wants to be in the studio 7 days a week, just doing my thing. I want to be out there, so just working out how to go about that and what the next stage is really. Ian, it's all down to.
Are you still doing corporate stuff as well? Like you sort of do stuff directly for manufacturers.
Yeah, I mean the stuff I did for Audi. I did the Audi A3 launch from the studio. Cool. I've done the stuff for Dynamics. So there's one piece being released this week, I think. But it's in terms of the more corporate stuff, like events. Like I had a contract, earlier on in the year it was a bar launch. It's a sports bar launch of all things. So sports got cancelled and bars got closed. Yeah. So that's not arrived back yet. We'll see. It's one of those things. When things like touring car, there's no fans. So you also can't be at shows or events when there's no fans, because that's who I'm creating for, really. So So Mark, let's obviously you're a resident two-wheel guy. Has there been any news about any classic bike shows or biker events? I've seen a few people around here. Like I'm in Norfolk. The guys on scooters, Lambrettas, and Vespas have been meeting up in Hunstanton and that kind of thing. But is there much of that going on?
Yeah, there's a few bits planned. There was one this weekend actually. Malay Mile. It's I went last year. Awesome event. It's kind of it's sprawled across a few fields, and it's just a really nice event. And I didn't go this year for a variety of reasons, but it seems like it was really good. I think that's the first of the sort of main events that are planned this year. But yeah, we'll see what happens, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, isn't it, what's going to happen? So it's good to hear that people are starting to wake up. But I think there's a lot of uncertainty about what you can and can't do. I know some race circuits are being more cautious than others. And it depends on the scale of the event, whether they're allowed to invite people along and that kind of thing. I know Brands Hatch recently did their historic meeting, and they allowed people in, but the paddock was really, really strict about who could actually get to see the cars and the drivers.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
weird. It's the same. There's a whole host of bike racing on, and I think, don't quote me, but I think some are letting spectators in, but I don't know how it works, whether it's reduced numbers or what.
Yeah, there's one event. One of the race drivers I sponsor is unable to take part in his next race, so instead of that, he's taken his car onto a car show. So I thought, I'll go to the car show, and they had limited tickets available because they happened to have only a certain number of people. You're having to give your telephone number and your address for track and trace and that kind of thing. So they're getting
Rob?
around it. That's Rob. Yeah, Rob. I don't know if you guys saw it the weekend, but he wasn't able to race this weekend because he had engine problems. And the trouble is, it was a triple header at Silverstone. So that's 3 races that he didn't take part in. And the same
he's fast
guy
as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he qualified 4th and was in a position. That's with a dodgy engine. And the guy who's leading the championship won all 3 of the races. So Rob's got some catching up to do. And not only that, the next round at Alton Park is a double header, and Rob's not going to be able to make that as well because of his engine. So that's 5 of the races of the 10 race season that he's not taking. Absolutely good. But because of that, he's able to go to a car show. So I'm making sure that I go to that in Suffolk. So I can't remember the name of it, but I'm sure if you look at Rob's social media, Rob Wellham Racing, he'll show you where that is. So it looks like some events are taking place. Hopefully the likes of Ian will be able to get along to some of them, like maybe even Motorsport Days Live or something by the end of the year, to take part in that. But outside of shows, bringing it back more to ZoomZoomers and that kind of thing, Joe, you let me in on a little bit of a secret the other day. Well, not a secret as such, but you haven't done a track day owned scrap yet, have you?
I have not.
Wow.
No, and I think it's about time we did another round of track day owned scrap. So I have got the wheel here ready. So I think, Joe, we'll start off with you. Now, Neil, I know you and I have got a bit of a side project that we've been doing recently. So you've done one quite recently, but we'll do another one for you as well. But for everyone here, we'll have another go at the track day owned scrap, if that's okay. And we'll start off with Joe Tanner, if that's good for you, Joe, because you haven't done one of these yet. Now, I'm going to try and share my screen. If you could let me know, A, when the screen goes black, and then B, when you can see a track day owned scrap wheel, that'd be great.
It's definitely gone black.
Yeah, it's black. None more black. Yeah, so I can see the wheel.
See the wheel. Okay, so Joe, you're the first one up. Now I've got a pen ready because I always forget who gets what. So
I might write them down as well.
Yeah, if people haven't seen this before, it's fairly obvious, really. We're going to spin the wheel 3 times. Just the tiny little images around the edge of the circle will come up larger, and they will give Joe 3 different options, and he'll have to choose whether to track day, own, or scrap each of them. So I'm just going to spin the wheel. Now it's a few seconds delay before you see what I see. So hopefully you can see a Pagani Zonda.
Okay.
So Joe, your first in your garage is a Pagani Zonda, or potential garage. We'll remove that one. Your next car. You get some very fast ones today. You know, I think they might both be V12s. Someone can correct me on that if they're not. But that's a Saleen or Saleen S7. And the third one, this is going to be something really rubbish now, isn't it?
3 supercars, maybe?
Not quite, not far off. We have a GT4. This is the Science, I think it's the Science edition of the Toyota Celica GT4. It may or may not be the Science one. So they're your cars, all very sporty. Pagani Zonda, Saleen S7, and a Toyota Celica GT4. What are you going to do with those? Track down or scrap?
I think I might upset our resident Toyota fan by scrapping the GT4.
Yeah.
I think the Saleen might make quite a fun track day car, and own the Zonda.
I think that's a fantastic result, isn't it? Yeah, Alan, I guess you're the resident Toyota guy. Would you have done the same?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. There's a limit to Toyota, isn't there? Come on.
Yeah, well, there's just a limit to my absolute nerdism overall. So yeah.
Okay, we'll go for you next, Alan, if you're all right with that.
Yep, sure.
Yep, I can't even remember what you would have got the first time we did this, so it's completely new from my point of view. So can you remember?
No, not a clue.
No, not a clue.
It was more than 20 minutes ago. Oh, there's a good one.
There's a good one. Okay, so this is the Vantage, the proper one, not one of these ones, these new
not one of these identikit ones that we keep getting every 10 minutes these days with 007 stitched into the seats and stuff.
Exactly. No, this is a proper brute, an absolute
really is, isn't it?
V550 or something like that. So there's the Aston Martin.
I would totally buy one with 007 stitched into the headrest, I have to confess. I'm that sad.
Oh, there's a good lineup today. Okay, we have a Ford GT40. There we go. So Are you going to get a rubbish third one? Let's have a look. Aston Martin, a Ford, and what have we got for number 3? Oh, a very different kind of car. Hopefully it'll pop up for you in a second.
Oh, this is so
a nice selection. Man.
What a great selection. Alan, you're really on the spot here.
I really am, haven't I? Right. Track day. Oh, sugar. Right. Let's go for the easy one. Own the Vantage.
Own the Vantage. Brilliant. Okay, that's in your garage. So you got to throw away either a Ford GT40 or a Caterham 7. The other one you're going on track.
I've always wanted a Caterham 7. I'm sorry. It's tracking the Caterham and scrapping the Ford, and that's not an easy decision.
I bet. Would it have made a difference if there was a certain level of Caterham? Is there a cusp where the 160 wouldn't have made it, but the 410 would have done?
Not for me. Part of the reason for this is I'm more likely to have killed myself in the GT40. That's kind of what it came down to.
Yeah.
I mean, so even if it wasn't one of the Caterhams with the little 3-cylinder Suzuki Kaikar at 660cc engine, the Caterham may still have won. But that was an something ridiculous. Just actually almost made it better. So yeah.
So have you driven one in the past, Alan?
I have never driven a Caterham.
Okay. We need to make that happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, who's next? Ian, do you fancy a go?
Well, go on then. Yeah.
Go on then. Can you remember what you had first time round?
Oh, I think wasn't there a car that was passed through by people? I think I ended up with it. I can't remember.
That was a slightly different one. That was the pass or hand it on.
Right.
That was the Lotus Elan, I think. Everyone kept rejecting it. Okay, we'll go for 3 for you then, Ian. Okay. So the first one you've got is a Lotus Esprit. I think that's a V8. I'm not sure, but for the sake of argument, let's say that's a Lotus Esprit V8.
I think it is the V8, unfortunately.
And talking of Vs, we now have a Renault Clio V6. So another rear engine or mid-engine rear-wheel drive car, but a very different one. And your final car. Again,
taken all the rubbish ones out of this.
I haven't. I really haven't. Just look, Neil will get some real rubbish because
yes, I know. I was literally this evening explaining to my daughter how casinos fix the casino wheel with the green 0 to make sure that overall, kind of the punter loses. But
yeah,
you've just got the 3 best cars there, so I'm going to get another rubbish one again, aren't I?
You are. Ian's really. Everyone's looked into it so far. I mean, someone's taken home. Well, some fantastic cars here. But Ian, what do you reckon? The Lotus Esprit, the Renault Clio V6, and the Ferrari 288 GTO.
Oh, I think I'd have to keep the 288 GTO.
Yeah. Okay, that's your everyday car.
Track the Clio V6.
Yep.
And reluctantly scrap the Lotus. Reluctantly, but yes, it's a hard choice between Lotus and Clio. Track, I'd have to go for that.
Yeah, I think I would imagine the Lotus is quite a predictable experience on track, whereas the Clio is probably a once in a lifetime experience. So
a very short life.
A half-life, as it were.
Thanks, Ian. Okay, so we've had Joe, we've had Alan. How about Neil? Let's go for Neil next. Are you all right?
Yeah, lay it on me, baby.
Okay, first one. Lay it on me, baby.
I'm going to get all the shit ones now, aren't I? Oh, no, I'm not.
Well,
oh, yes, you are.
Yeah, baby.
Well, if you're happy with that, then okay.
Look at the face.
So you've got a Ford Capri. Let's say that's a good one.
Let's just leave the other 2 cars out of this. I'll track day and own that. That's fine.
Oh, dear. Okay. That might end up in the bin. You never know.
No.
We do have a Jaguar C-Type. Now, okay, I know this is basically a race car. I mean, it hasn't got a roof or anything like that.
You can drive it on the road. You can. I mean, they are road legal, but
you can. But you're not the swiftest driver. You know, you're more of a take
I'm
the time,
steady as she
enjoy the
goes.
scenery. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's your second choice. Let's have number 3.
Okay.
We have the Screamer. That is the Lexus LFA.
Okay.
Okay.
This is quite hard.
Yeah.
Because, like Alan, I'm a bit of a stand for Toyota products, and in particular that one. But I've always loved Capris, even though I recognise that they're shite. So I'm going to keep the Capri. The Capri I'm going to own the Capri because it's got back seats and I can get my kids in it. They will complain. I don't care. I'm going to, because I live within about a 15 or 20-minute drive of the old Dundrod TT circuit up on the hill behind Belfast. I'm going to track day the C-Type because I can just bring it up there. And I'm going to have to scrap the Lexus, which is going to be quite hard because they're essentially made from adamantium. So I don't quite know how you. I don't know how you scrap an LFA, even if it's possible. But I'm sure someone can somehow.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, buddy. Yeah, fantastic. So, okay, so the Capri did quite well there, and I like the fact that you used the word stan. It shows how in touch you are with the youth of today. Well done. Now, before we move on, it'd be prudent of us to say hello to the latest Zoomer to join us. So, LA, if you can hear us, could you let us know your name and your Twitter handle, please, and then we'll do a track day and scrap.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's I'm LA, and my Twitter is @1_LA, and I usually change it. I forgot to change it.
It's all right. No worries at all.
Like on my name there.
Yeah. Well, let's have this again because occasionally we get asked again. So LA is not your actual name, but it's Louisanne, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's a bit official, and there's a hyphen that gets in the way, and then everyone always goes, and is there an E at the end? And then people call me Louise or Louisa, and I just detest my name. It's such a simple thing that I hate it. So it kind of caught on in my 20s when I was traveling around as a flight attendant, and it was a guy in Florida that used to be a bellhop in a hotel. One particular time we were getting out of the transport to check in, and suddenly I heard this bellow sort of under the foyer of this nice big hotel, and he was going, LA's here, LA. And it just kind of took off after that, really. It was kind of a bit of a mickey take at the beginning, but then when I started to sort of do radio stuff like presenting, and then I used to do a bit of this and that for Manchester City as well at the BBC, then it just kind of stuck. So you're stuck with it. It sounds really extravagant, like I'm some Hollywood movie star, but you catch the accent, you'll realise I'm not.
That's what gives it away. You're right. On Twitter, nobody knows. It's only when they watch ZoomZoomers they go, oh, okay, we get it now. Okay, LA, you ready you want to do a track day and scrap?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go on then. Okay, so your first one, before we go on to everyone else, I'll give it a couple of seconds, is a Porsche 911, and I think that might be a GT2 because it's got I think I specifically chose the GT2. Okay, so that's your first one, LA.
Okay.
Now I know you like a big American V8, but instead of that, we have something very, very different.
Oh.
We have the often overlooked Lotus Elan.
Alan.
The Lotus Alan.
Alan.
The Lotus Alan Bradley.
I can cope with that.
What kind of an engine has that got?
Sorry?
What kind of an engine?
1600 twin car, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only a little one, but it still gets to 60 in about 7 seconds. So it's still a nippy little bugger.
Okay.
Development of the old Cortina engine.
No, okay. And then this one is go on.
This one's an aerial nomad. So this is aerial make cars out of bits of metal they found lying around, and this is the one that off-road. So the Aerial Nomad. So you've got a Porsche 911, a classic Lotus Elan, and the Aerial Mad as Hell.
The Porsche wasn't a convertible, was it?
It wasn't, no.
No. Oh, see. This sounds really odd, but because we're living in fantasy worlds, and I like to look good, then I'm actually gonna own the Lotus.
Okay, yep.
That was a convertible, wasn't it?
Yep.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So I look all right in that. And
well, the Aerial doesn't have a roof either, but I don't think that's because it's convertible. I think it's just that they didn't have any
tracking that. I'm going to track that because
you're going to track that.
Yeah. I think that looks quite cool. I'll track it at night as well, so I can put all them lights on.
yeah. You don't have to worry about corners. You just cut across them.
Yeah, and then I'll just blind all the crowd watching. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
So,
that sounds like a plan. So the Porsche is going in a bit.
I don't like to do that because I used to always want a 911, to be fair. But it's just all about looks, and then it's all about action. So I'm getting old. You get what you can get.
Fantastic, thank you. Brilliant choices there. Let's have Andrew next. Andrew, do you want to track down and scrap? Have we got Andrew?
Where's he gone?
Andrew, are you there, buddy? Let's have a look. No, his screen is off. Let's move on to Near then.
Sorry. Oh, he's there.
Oh, okay. Andrew, just caught us in time. Sorry, buddy. You right for a track down and scrap?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, first one for you. Okay, Andrew, your first one is a Lister Storm.
Oh, I had that before.
Did you?
I did.
Destiny. What did you do with it last time? Can you remember?
I think I wanted to junk it, actually.
Oh, right. Okay. Pressure's on then. Maybe these other two will be worse. Well, I'll see what happens before you do. So the next one is a Vauxhall VX220 Turbo.
Okay, go on.
Okay, the Lister might make it through this time. And the third one for you, we have a Porsche Cayman GT4.
Well, definitely the Porsche Cayman is going to be my everyday.
Okay, everyday.
Definitely. I'm probably going to the Vauxhall. Isn't that sort of kind of tangentially related to a Lotus?
It is a Lotus, yeah, but with ABS.
That's my track day then. So the Vauxhall stays my track day, and sorry, Lister.
You still get rid of the Lister. Yes, lovely.
Poor car's been scrapped twice.
Yeah,
By the same
did get the hint. Okay, Near, you're next. Okay, Near, your first car.
There's one here that I really want.
Is it this one? Is it the Evo 6?
It's not, but I wouldn't kick this one out of the track. So,
okay.
This is a maybe track car.
A maybe track. Okay. Good start. Next one. Okay, it's the Audi R8 V10. And then the next one, hopefully this will be the one that you wanted. If not, you'll have to tell us what that was. Okay,
no, that wasn't the Dino. I wanted the Dino.
You wanted the Dino. Oh, I'm afraid. You've got a Ford Escort RS.
You've got an Escort Cosworth, which is better than a Dino.
An Escort Cosworth is not better.
That's a stretch. That's a stretch, isn't it? Better than a Dino.
Okay, so I'm gonna track the Evo.
Yep.
And
you've got to scrap one and keep one.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna keep the Audi and scrap.
Yep, scrap the Cosy. I think that's wise. I think in a real life situation, that's what most people would do. There's a lot of love. Neil's shaking his head, but come on. If you had a Cosy and an R8 in front of you, would you really choose the Cosy, Neil?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would choose the Cosy as well.
Would you?
Thank
really?
you, Alan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The R8 is too much of a is I don't know. Maybe it's different because it doesn't have a wrap on it, but there's a certain image that comes along, like my first supercar type image.
Okay, I get that. Yeah.
Look.
I grew up in Manchester, and those cozies would, when I picture them, they're just burnt out and wrapped around lampposts.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But
Cash machine hanging out the boot.
To counter that, I grew up in West Cork, and on those roads, the Audi is going to have the suspension up through the turrets in about 30 seconds flat, and the Cozzy's going to be 20 miles up the road. So,
fair enough, Neil. But the Ford Capri, of course, would cope admirably.
The Ford Capri is a god amongst cars, and you'd better start admitting it.
No, it's not.
All right, okay.
No, he just wants to be in the Professionals, the remake of the Professionals with him and Phil Huff. That's why.
Yes.
Yeah. That will happen.
Terrifying thought. Yeah.
It is.
And Damien can play Cowley.
Those Audi R8s. This will probably be extremely unpopular out there in social media land, but I think that they typify what's wrong with modern supercars. Your nan could drive that car. It's so easy to drive fast. And you're so removed as a driver. It's boring.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing that
I'm not a fan of them either. It says more about how I don't like fast Fords.
That's the thing that I've always been a bit like. I completely get that, but when the Honda NSX came out, a lot of the praise for the NSX was that it could be driven every day.
Yeah.
And as time's gone on, the NSX is looked at as an absolute icon and brilliant and flawless. And everyone that gets to drive that orange one that Honda keep chucking out around the UK is so enamored with it and thinks it's fantastic because it's so easy to use. And I'm kind of thinking, okay, if that's the plus point of the NSX, why is it the bad point of the Audi R8? What do we think about that?
I think there's a point of nuance to make, which is that original NSX is still advanced though it was in its day and easier on the limbs and brain and everything else than a contemporary Ferrari 348. It's still very much an analog device. You've got to do it. You've got to make it work. Whereas if you drive there's an awful lot of modern performance cars. There's a major bugbear with me at the moment. Stuff like the Mercedes, the one I keep ragging on is the Mercedes A35 AMG hot hatch, which should be brilliant. I mean, it's 300 odd horsepower in a compact, stiffly sprung hatch. Should be brilliant. It's actually really anodyne. It's point and squirt and let the computers do the work. And
But it makes good pops and bangs.
That's not enough. That's not enough. Because I'll tell you what, I drove.
In sarcastic.
I personally would like the opportunity to find this out myself. I mean, Mercedes-Benz, because I'm going to be carless shortly. So if Mercedes-Benz wants me to, prove Neil wrong, I'll happily do it.
Yeah, we'll throw that out there to Mercedes-Benz. Before we get rid of the track day and scrap wheel, Mark, I think you're the only one person tonight who hasn't done it yet. So I'll just quickly do yours, and then we can.
Yeah, cool.
So then we can have a bit more of a chat about supercars and such. Okay, Mark, your first car is the Nismo version of the Nissan GTR. Okay. So very much a four-wheeled vehicle, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
The next one. You've got an old Alpine.
Yeah.
Okay, so very different from the computer that you just had is the old Alpine. And your final car. I like it when this one pops up.
Oh no!
The ultimate opinion divider is the boomerang lighted Maserati 3020 GT.
That's probably broken down as well, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
The hazards are on if you look closely.
Yeah.
I'd happily trade the Audi for it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
My only experience with a Maserati, was
No, go on.
My only experience with a Maserati was I was in Belfast once, and I went to Charleshurst, which Neil knows very well. Famous,
lovely people.
Yes, automotive mecca. And I was walking around, disappointed there was no Marinas or Allegros there, But anyway. And what happened was that there's a guy came in this Maserati, and he spent about 10 minutes giving out to the salesman for saying what a piece of crap it was, which was kind of enjoyable to watch.
Oh, harsh.
Where you anyway, of course.
Yeah.
Well, predictably, then the Maserati's going in the bin in the scrapper.
Okay,
And
fair enough.
I don't know. I suppose you'd have to track the Alpine and then daily the GTR.
Yeah. I think this is the GTR might be an example of what we were just talking about being anodyne, and it's a remarkably capable car, and the lap times it could set are fantastic. But are you actually doing that, or is the car just doing it itself?
Yeah.
Whereas the Alpine is obviously going to be, probably, a hell of a chunk, Snetterton perhaps 30-40 seconds a lap slower than a GTR would be, but you're going to have a hoot doing it.
You'd be laughing your head off, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think that's a good. So the Nismo would be your everyday car.
Yeah.
And the Alpine crash around for a day. That sounds like a good plan to me. Cool, thanks for that, Mark. So while we're talking about classics and modern cars and that kind of thing, I gave you all a task for the week, which I think suited some of you guys down to the ground, and other ones have probably been scrapping around for some to try and find an example of this. I asked you all for a car that looks better as a convertible than it would have done as a hardtop. So normally, I think that the consensus is that cars look great, and then they take the roof off for people like LA, and they ruin it. But there must be some out there. I mean, off the top of my head, I ended up coming up with a couple myself, but I'll let you guys have a chat about this. So Joe Tanner, let's have I don't suppose you've had a chance to think about this, have you? About a car that looks better as a convertible than it does as a hardtop.
I've actually got 4 options because I thought somebody would probably grab the ones that I thought of. But I'll go with my my first choice. That's the BMW 1 Series.
Okay.
Whereas the coupe looked a bit odd in proportions, but the convertible much better.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees.
Yeah, you're right. The coupe looks quite looks tall, and then the body looks quite small, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Whereas the convertibles, got nice lines, even with the roof up. So.
Well, what we'll do there, we'll chat to everyone else, and then if there happens to be any that you've picked there of your 4 that people haven't said, we'll have another look at those. Let's have Neil next.
Can I just check something first? And Andy, have you picked the Rover R8 200?
Am I still here? Am I?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm spinning here. No, I haven't actually.
Okay, well then I'm safe now. I didn't, because if you had, I didn't want to steal your thunder, because like Joe, I've picked several. I mean, come on. It's almost majestic in convertible form, whereas it's almost a car in hatchback form. So there you go. Rover 200.
Of course.
What was that, Neil? Sorry?
Unless you compare it to the coupe, to the Tomcat.
Yeah, the coupe works really well, doesn't it?
Totally.
The coupe is the superior of the species, aside from the 400 estate, I would say. But
okay,
yeah, that's
a little point here.
Yeah.
The Tomcat. I always remember Car magazine did this famous cover where they had like 4 cars, like 4 sports cars, and they said there's one dog in the picture, and it was a Tomcat.
Pretty.
That's quite nice, actually. You know, Neil, if you want to be a nerd, you want to be a nerd, Neil. If you look at NE there, NE, see the way the registration plate says NE?
Yeah.
Well, that's where they it's based in Neuss. Because that's where Rover had their distributor in Germany.
Oh, okay. Oh, Dave, that's why we get Andrew on.
Yeah, for nerdy crap. Yeah,
nerdy crap. Come on, Andrew. Have you had a chance to think of this? You probably haven't, because we.
I have. And I'm going to rush. I'm going to try and see if I can do this, because I actually previewed it during the week because Stuart wanted to ask the same question. So I'm going to try and do. If you can see this.
The TR7, it tracks as straight as a laser.
The Triumph.
7, is it?
remaining bargains. Motor Trend. With several thousand miles on the clock, the TR7 convertible still felt tight and solid. All things considered, it's an exhilarating car to drive. Road and track. The TR7 convertible.
I love that they say it still felt solid, and I didn't think that was anything anybody had ever said about TR7.
No.
Let alone the convertible.
It didn't even feel solid when it left speak for the first time.
The guy's by.
Well, technically speaking, it wouldn't have let speak, Mr. Briscoe, because a drop dead was made in Kahn. Anyway. I
hang my head in shame.
Well, I know the reason why I picked the TR7, I mean, look, it gets a lot of grief. If you do have a moment, I would recommend going on YouTube and having a look at Thames Television's drive-in report on the TR7, because the car actually has a broken exhaust in it. And actually flatulently drives around while the guy is talking to the man about the sports car response, and the car nearly cuts out at one point on a hill. So
oh my God.
Very good.
That's fantastic.
No, the TR7, because I mean, the whole point about the TR7 is it had the tin top turret. The reason why they brought it in is because they thought convertibles were going to be outlawed in the States. And so they went to this ridiculous roof. And I shouldn't really criticize the TR7 because I know Alex Riley really likes him. But I mean, I think the problem is with the TR7 is that it was a car that was transformed by the roof coming off, because it actually is quite a good profile. The roof actually screws up the actual car's profile. It's not a bad car. I mean, it's a great car. I mean, but it's not a bad car. So that's the one. The other car, which is kind of controversial, would be the XJS.
Okay.
Purely convertible, the full convertible. Now, the fact is, the Flying Buttress XJS has actually been improved. You know, it's sort of been reevaluated since then. There you go, Neil. And that is, I think that's quite a nice convertible, actually. I kind of personally think the TR7 is a better one, to be honest. The worst convertible, by the way, is the Mini convertible.
Yeah.
Looks like a motorized.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Andrew.
That's my one, anyway.
Great stuff. Great stuff. LA, have you got one there, please?
I do, yes. Surprise, surprise. It's American.
But you know what? I think Americans do well here. When I was thinking of them, I thought back to the 50s and 60s, you know, the Chevys and that kind of thing. I thought, yeah, you know what? They work better with a roof off.
Well, I mentioned this a few weeks ago because I'm attempting to write a novel.
Oh, yeah.
And so my main character has this fabulous 1966 Mustang GT. And I did a little bit of research on this to make sure I picked the apt car for my character. And even the colour, you know, it's like silver blue. So there's some random dude driving this, so you know, don't judge him. But that's the GT convertible. They do a hard top as well, but it's I think between 65 and 67 or 64 and 66, this kind of car was around. And then obviously then you've kind of got the all that inside, all the leather, and you know, she had it all chromed up as well on the outside. It's a beautiful car, isn't it?
It is. And precisely what you were saying earlier about something that you want to be seen in and drive around in, just to kind of like soak up the atmosphere. And I think that is it's so much better in a convertible than if you had the
I mean, I wanted her to. I've driven like a more modern Mustang, and I'm sure it's nothing like that kind of version. But you know, there was sort of 4 of us girls in it driving down Sunset Boulevard in LA. So yeah, we all looked pretty good on our night. I told you before, I forfeited drinking that night just so I could drive this car. You know?
Oh yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
I was like, I'll be designated driver if you want. Give you a break. I'm sure you're always driving. And she's like, yeah, I am. I'd love a drink. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll just drive.
Nice.
But then when I picked the car for my character, she's living on the Pacific Coast Highway 1 in California, just up north of Mendocino, if anybody knows it. And that road is so twisty turny. It's like a racetrack in itself at certain points.
Yeah.
So I wanted her to have a car where she didn't only look good, but she could just handle that kind of a road, because I've driven that road myself as well. So Yeah, there we go. It's a Mustang 66 GT.
Excellent, fantastic. Thanks for that, LA. Some of you might have noticed Neil's just disappeared. He's had to run for yeah, but we'll see him next week. He's promised he'll be back next week, so that's cool. We'll move on to Mark, and this is specifically about cars. But is it a car that you've come up with, Mark?
Yeah, afraid so. Unfortunately, I feel bad. I feel like a traitor this week because everything's 4 wheels for me this week. But yeah, so I found this really difficult, honestly, because I just think that the key to it was it had being a convertible had to make the car look better than the base model, and arguably everyone that's been on here tonight, probably Andrew has won so far, but I think the cars look good as a convertible. Like the Mustang looks great as a convertible, but it looks really cool as a coupe as well. So I found it quite difficult. Anyway, what I went with was the Mercedes 111 W111 from the 60s. I think it looks good as a saloon, but I think it looks absolutely drop dead gorgeous as a convertible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I kind of get that. I think there's a couple of Mercedes from that era, like the Pagoda. Obviously, you know, it kind of works really well as a soft top. No, thanks for that. Yeah, fantastic choice there. No worries. Alan, sorry.
I was going to say that. Yeah, there was that car used to be tended to be a kind of a favorite of Columbo villains in the early days.
Was it?
Yeah, there's a few Columbo episodes, very early ones, where that car appears. I think the one that Spielberg did, the very start of it, you actually see one coming in.
Yeah, good taste.
So I think that's actually on YouTube, so you can watch that afterwards.
Yeah,
good shout. So was it the early days? Did you say Columbo?
Yeah, the very first the pilot.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg, the pilot of the series that started, because there's a couple of pilots of Columbo. Oh God.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
There's 3 pilots of Columbo. This is the last one, and it's the one that Steven Spielberg directed.
Steven Spielberg directed the 3rd pilot of Columbo.
Yeah, he did he did. Yeah, it's a great episode as well. And
okay.
Is that Mercedes that Mark was talking about? That's a gorgeous car.
Okay, we learned so many facts when Andrew's on, don't we?
Yeah.
You want to learn these facts, though? Do you want to learn these facts?
I don't know. It's shoving other stuff out of my head, isn't it? Yeah, I need pass. It's why I can't remember passwords. Okay. No, I'm deliberately leaving Nia to last because we know that Nia's got the final say on this, but we'll go to Ian next.
I'm going to cheat a little bit, but mainly because it's really it's like how it felt. Like I really like the 911 Targa roof and how it folds back into the car. I think it's Alan's
looking annoyed. I think Alan might have been on the same wavelength as this. So
really pretty. Look how pretty that is. That mechanism is just beautiful.
I can't quite see it now.
Best Velcro to get.
Is it so? That's a modern Porsche. It's not like one of the older ones.
No, it's the modern Targa with how the roof folds. I really like, and then the other one I thought of is the Lexus LC convertible.
Okay,
that's a pretty car. I like that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That is.
But is it better than the coupe saloon? Is it better than the coupe though? Because that was on my list too.
Yeah,
exactly the point.
But I also like the RF as well. The Mazda RF is a little simple, like that. And then to finish off, you're wrong. To have Thunderbird, obviously. Yeah, another nice folding roof on that as well. So they're my choices.
Great. I think Alan is just annoyed that I came to Ian before Alan.
Sorry, Alan.
You probably had a list of about 10 and they've all gone, haven't they?
No, I had 2 and he's just taken both of them. I had real trouble with this week. Genuinely lots of trouble. I thought, nobody else is going to say that they prefer Targa 911 over a coupe 911 like I do with that wraparound rear window and everything.
Yeah.
But no.
That was one of the ones I considered as well. The original Targa with the super lift off was one of the ones that I considered as well. It's not what I went with in the end, but it's so there you go. So there's 3 of us. It's not unusual of a choice.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm definitely not going to choose what LA was talking about Highway 1, I'm not going to choose a convertible. I've driven that in, which was a PT Cruiser convertible.
Oh, hang on. How do I chuck him out? You shouldn't mention it.
I said it was the worst.
He's not even allowed to mention it.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I told you I'd make you laugh, LA. E-Type, then. I'll give you that. I'm not a fan of the E-Type, but the convertible's definitely better looking than the hardtops.
I'm one of the weird people that find the E-Type shape quite challenging as a coupe. I think maybe the from the front it's quite a pretty car, but the side profile I think is actually quite unbalanced, and I know I'm in the minority there.
Yeah, I'd rather have an XJS.
Well, you're a kind of an XJS kind of person, though, aren't you, Alan?
A little more. I have driven both, by the way, and I just didn't really like the E-Type, but I loved the XJS.
The XJS, has anyone actually sat in an E-Type other than yourself? I mean,
no.
Very tight, very, very confined space. I mean, they wouldn't let me drive it, but they let me sit in it, you know.
I was a kid when I did, so I was quite small, so I don't really remember. Maybe if I was grown up and 5'8" like I am, fine, but not as a little 3-foot squatter.
Cool. Thanks for that, Alan. So, Near.
Well, I very, very nearly went with the E-Type. As Mark said, I had real trouble with this because, exactly like Mark said, it's not enough that it looks good as a convertible. It actually needs to look better than the hardtop. There are plenty good-looking convertibles. I'm not anti-convertible.
Yeah.
Trying to think of one that really looked better without the roof. So one of my first knee-jerk responses was actually the E-Type. Largely because I don't really like the E-Type. I'm not a big E-Type fan, and especially the coupe. I don't like the proportions of it. Don't think it's all that pretty, and it certainly looks better with the roof off. But I thought a little bit more. And I said the Targa was another one that came up. The original Targa, though, I love the look of the new Targa, but that kind of all the pyrotechnics and the folding roof and all that kind of stuff, that kind of defeats the point of the Targa. The whole idea of the Targa was to give a nice, stiff, open top coupe that was stiff and light like the coupe, but you could also take the top off. So I very nearly went with the original Targa. And then I started thinking about other things. The Peugeot 306 came up. The problem with the 306, and this falls on what Mark was saying, was that there's nothing wrong with the hatchback. It's a very pretty hatchback. They did a great job of the convertible, doing it differently from the way that cabrios were done at the time, like kind of the Bristleback cabrios, and making it a 3-box cabrio, and it's a great looking cabrio. Does it look better than a 3-door 306 GTI? I don't think so. So that fell as well. What I came up with in the end is not really some, if you're waiting for some great big knockout kind of thing, it's not going to be some great big knockout.
I'm on tenterhooks here.
Joe was closest. It's the E33 series was what I came
up with. Oh, yeah, okay.
The 1980s 3 Series, because it was the one where the 2-door wasn't really a proper coupe. It wasn't great. It was not a great looking car, the E33 series. I know it's got a great following and everything. And yeah, the M3 looks great with the blistered arches and the raised boot and all that kind of stuff. But the ordinary 316, 318 2-door, I couldn't justify calling it a coupe even. It's just a 2-door, the same as a Vauxhall Nova as a 2-door. It's very upright.
Yeah. They didn't sell it as a coupe though, says the man who grew up in the back of...
They didn't sell it as a coupe, that's the thing. The E36 was sold as a coupe, but the E30 was just a 2-door 3 Series. And originally, most of its life, the convertible was also quite an uncomfortable looking convertible. It was this kind of official after sales Bauer, was it Bauer? Who was it?
Bauer,
Bauer. That took the top of it. It had a fixed roll hoop and a T-bar and that kind of thing, and it also looked quite awkward. And then quite late in the life of that 3 Series, BMW finally took the top off it and did a really good job of it. It had a nice clean back, had no roll hoop. It didn't have like a pram back or anything like that. And even with the roof up, it finally looked like a coupe. It wasn't just a 2-door. It had the kind of coupe look. So yes, the E30 convertible definitely hand on heart looks better than the hardtop on which it's based.
Cool. Yeah, I think.
Can I add, a quick one. Isn't the case with the BMW? Maybe Mir can clarify with this. Wasn't the Bauer was a cabriolet? Wasn't a proper convertible because it was actually a roll hoop. But the E30, because it actually folded into the body, that's a proper convertible. Because the Jaguar XJS had a cabriolet, excuse me, and I don't drink, cabriolet, and then the full convertible came in. Is that right?
Yeah, right. I think that Bauer one, if I remember right, it had like the very original Porsche Targa as well. The wraparound screen on the original Targas was a plastic fold down screen, which just left the roll hoop and the Targa top. And if I remember right, that Bauer 3 Series was the same. Was that it was only the back part was actually a soft top, and then it had a
I think so.
I think it was a 2-part T-bar or something like that, like a T-top or something like that.
Lancia Beta was the same, wasn't it? Do you remember? Lancia Beta Coupe.
Yeah. I'm trying to get one here actually. I'm trying to find a photo. I've got one here actually, if I can find the thing. Because it's something like, oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. It's here. Here's a good picture of one. Sorry, I can just get the bloody phone.
Yeah, you're right, Andrew.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think the difficulty with a lot of these cars is that that's it there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you can see it itself, because the central bit, it kind of like disrupts the lines of it. God, I sound like but I mean, I think the thing is that, I mean, as Near's right, I mean, when it's done properly, when a car is done properly, like convertible, because like the reality is, like back in the 50s, loads of cars had convertibles, and you could get like convertibles of Fords and Vauxhalls and all these cars and everything else, and they were part of the standard car. But I think like when it's done properly, when it's done properly, and it's, I don't think anyone's said any car here tonight that people don't agree with, because it just looks right.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when the cars are designed from the ground up to be convertible, it works better because that's what the intention was. Another car that I've kind of always struggled with is the Z4 and Z3 BMWs that end up looking like a bread van. And some people think that's fantastic. I personally think, well, that just doesn't look right. And they work a lot better as a convertible. But I guess I wouldn't have included that in this challenge because they were originally intended to be a convertible. And that's the big difference there. So, I think cars where from the very beginning, they know that they're going to have the roof taken off, end up looking better. Not all the time. I mean, in the past I've owned a Lotus Exige, and that was off the back of an Elise, and I thought the Exige looked fantastic. Ian, what are you doing to us? Now this does divide opinion because I think a couple of people here actually quite like that car. Is that right?
No.
Do you know what?
Stop it.
Do you know what? It and the T-Roc, I would genuinely like to try them.
Okay, yeah.
Because the theory is they should be a bit of a jack of all trades, and they're not going to be great at anything, but they should be quite enjoyable. And we can all argue about why they exist, but obviously they sell.
Yeah.
And I just want to try it. Sorry, I just want to try it so that at least if I'm being abusive from a point of knowledge, and then I can say definitively that it's crap.
LA, how would you feel about an off-roader that's a 4x4? Is that kind of the sort of thing that would float your boat, or do you think convertibles should be sporty cars, or what do you reckon?
Like an off-roader convertible?
Yeah, does that really compute? Really?
Well, you kind of see them a little bit when they're off safari or in the desert in Dubai.
Yeah.
You kind of see
Jurassic
them,
Park.
them kind of things. But yeah, I've seen Jurassic Park, so it's a bit scary. No, I don't. I have a bit of a. I don't want to bring the conversation down, but I have a bit of an issue with convertibles. I did actually lose a friend a few years ago who flipped, and she passed away, and so I think off-roading would just scare the bejesus out of me because she was just sort of on a motorway slip road that was kind of a bend, and she wasn't off-roading. So I think from like sensible point of view, absolutely not. But then if from a fun make-believe point of view, why not? You just get covered in mud and crap, wouldn't you? And I know I can come across as a bit of a princess, but you know, I've lived in Devon on and off for years. I absolutely do not mind getting
muddy.
Getting muddied up and getting down and dirty. You know,
well,
why not?
I guess the proof will be in how many people buy them, and I'm suspecting that a lot of people will, and that makes the car a success, doesn't it? Regardless of what people think.
I think what makes you laugh though when you're watching like TV shows and stuff, it's people in like desert and things, is that everyone just bouncing and bouncing around everywhere, and you might just flip somebody out, and that'd probably be quite funny as well.
Yeah, people falling out of a 4x4 because it's got no roof.
What about you, DC? Are you have you got anything written down? You said.
I haven't. No. When I first put it to you, the first car that came to mind was the 306. I think that's kind of the classic, beautiful, everyday Pininfarina kind of. Wow, that's kind of a good-looking car. But as Nia said, the original car was good looking anyway, and that got me thinking more about these ones that were originally designed to be convertibles are better than ones that were convertible. Then they put a roof on it and tried to make that happen. But I think the era that I kind of like to call it the Karate Kid era, because when he's waxing on and waxing off the old classic American convertibles there, and he picks the yellow one, those cars I think look really, really good as convertibles. And again, talking about films, Back to the Future, when Biff gets all the manure fall into his car, and Grease Lightning and all that kind of thing. I think those cars look fantastic as convertibles. But I didn't actually write anything down because I thought you guys would have a lot of interesting ideas about ones that look better as convertibles. We've had a good stint there, so good mix. But I think for me, if I had to have put something down, I would have dug out some kind of Chevy or something, Grease Lightning style car to prove the point that from my point of view some convertibles can look better. But before we finish up, Mark, this week you've been tasked with doing the red green questions. So for people who don't know this is a quick fire round where those of us on the call, we don't know what the questions are going to be, but we have to grab something green, something red, and vote yes or no, or agree or disagree with what Mark's got to ask us about. So I'll hand the reins over to you now, Mark, if you want to give us some questions.
Yeah, everyone ready to roll?
Yeah.
Cool. Right, okay, first one then. In Miami Vice, the series, the black Ferrari Daytona Spider was cooler than the white Testarossa in the later series. Yeah. Oh, Damien, what are you doing, man? And Joe,
I'm not the only one.
Ali. Oh,
Joe. Yeah.
Okay.
No, the white Ferrari was the classic thing.
Okay. Right. In a cross-country race between Memphis Reigns, aka Nicolas Cage, in the Eleanor Mustang from Gone in 60 Seconds, and Bandit, Burt Reynolds with his Trans Am from Smoking the Bandit, who would win? So we've got red for the Mustang from Gone in 60 Seconds remake, and green for the Trans Am.
I'm going to hold up my Pontiac.
Nothing can beat a screaming chicken.
I haven't seen the film, so I'm going to go with Bird.
Yeah. All right, cool. I like that. Good answers. Excellent.
I think that was everybody apart from Matt. You held up your red then, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I did it by mistake as well, I'll be honest. And I wrote the question. Right. Old school car chases like the original Gone in 60 Seconds back in the 70s, Smoking the Bandit, Bullet, stuff like that, stuff before CGI is better than the current CGI stuff in like Fast and Furious, the later Gone in 60 Seconds. Yeah, I think we all agree.
Even need to finish the question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think we all do.
Yeah, the minute you said CGI.
It doesn't need it. It's the reason the original Sete and Rendezvous is so compelling, even though it's nowhere near as quick as modern things, because you know that it was just real. Well, realish, you know. Yeah. Sadly, the sort of more modern stuff with big CGI is, takes more money at the box office generally. But hey, what do we know? Yeah.
Right. Skateboards are cooler than roller skates.
I'm a girl. That's always going to be a no.
Less cool than the roller skates.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool.
Well, I kind of hope you were meaning like more like roller boots, not them really old sort of metal things with that,
Yeah, Bowers or whatever they were called. Yeah. This one's a little bit leading, to be fair, but it comes off some conversations I've had recently. Lots of
leading.
yeah. Lots of drivers and riders are missing out on a massive opportunity by not promoting themselves efficiently on social media. I think that's
race drivers and riders, or
race drivers and riders. I think they're missing out because they don't promote themselves on social media. Cool.
And if anybody needs anyone
to
promote them on social media,
maybe it's because they don't think it's on brand. Isn't that the whole point, you know?
Yeah, well, it's all about exposure, surely. Exposure for themselves, exposure for their sponsors and potential sponsors, that kind of stuff.
I think
but it takes so much time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and
yes,
the guys
exactly.
on this call, we're all quite Twitter savvy, and I think Twitter's a good gauge of social media and how engaging and reactive and how well you can do social media. We probably take it for granted that it's quite an easy thing to do, whereas a lot of the guys that I've spoken to, race drivers, just that they're not necessarily very compelling or engaging naturally, and so they find it quite tricky. And they do need a PR company or a social media expert to kind of help them along a bit. So
I think so. And it's a two-way thing as well. You can't just post crap on social media and expect that people are going to lap that up. You need to be, interacting.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what's important.
Yeah, for sure, as all the Grand Prix drivers say, isn't that right? For sure.
I mean, I kind of think that even though there might be some drivers that aren't necessarily the one that might be interacting because they do have a media team. I think the illusion by the fan is that, Lewis Hamilton just liked something or messaged something, and it's probably like Dave, his mate, you know, but
cool. But it feels the same.
You can often tell which drivers do it themselves because they're the ones that get criticised for doing it poorly.
Yes.
A young German lady who's often criticised for doing poorly constructed tweets at the moment, and it would do well to kind of get someone else along to at least vet what she puts out there first. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, that was that one. So okay, bit contentious. Autonomous cars are a dead end. Sorry. Really?
Sorry, Mark. Sorry.
I just think that there's a point.
Andrew's really thinking.
Yeah, he is.
Or is he just
frozen? There's a point where I mean, Nia, you're in it. You're in sort of automotive. You're closer to that kind of thing than we are. From a layman's point of view, I mean, I've worked with people like TWR and people like that. I just think there's a point where we can't go any further with current technology because we can't read,
That's current technology. That's not what your question said. Your question said a dead end, full stop.
Yeah, sure.
Why I was very slow in putting it up.
Yeah, but the next step is resurfacing all the roads in the UK, in fact, the world, and then, massive leap in technology. Where are we going to get that from?
I don't know. Otherwise, I would be making lots of money at an autonomous car startup.
Yeah, true. Right. Anyway,
I think it's inevitable. The question mark just is over the timeline. Like a couple of years ago, people were saying 2020, 2022. I think nobody's saying that anymore. But whether it's 2028 or 2035 or 2045, it's inevitable. It's just a question of when it's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Right. A Mitsubishi. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just that I happened to be watching a documentary at the weekend about was the A330 Airbus. And the Airbus was the first one that had almost like a form of kind of like computer control. And when it started, it had loads of different computer issues. Like the computer would suddenly do things that the pilot wasn't expecting.
That's probably the 320.
Sometimes, I think technology should be your partner. It shouldn't be your servant. I think that's the best way to do it. Because I think that's the problem. Sometimes people are sometimes enamored with technology. They think it's a panacea. Nothing's a panacea. Nothing is. Everything has unintended consequences. If you read Ed Niedermeyer's book, that's the reality.
Yeah, but you will find that
very serious there. Sorry, Mark.
Even though they're automated and there's George, that does fly the thing. Obviously, everything's manually input, and normally when landing into the UK, no matter what aircraft it is, the captains will usually land the aircraft in manual mode, including a 747. So that's always quite good, sitting the flight deck on a manual landing in a big plane. But anyway,
so
I think
how long has this sort of technology been available? I mean, was this how long ago were planes capable of potentially landing themselves then?
So that was probably, I think it's the A320, wasn't it? That was what the
Something
first.
like that. It's been a good while.
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah.
I mean, I was Airbus fleeted in 1998. So they were obviously, they must have been around a few years, but we got brand new Airbus 330s in 1999. So they were probably just reasonably fresh off the production line. But the 320s had been around a few years. Then I think the 321 came next and the 319. So yeah, and now obviously you're in the big massive bracket. Yeah, and the Boeings are now, you know, at one point the Boeings were still not fully automated, so they were getting there gradually, but now, you know, they can be as well. But I still think I feel more comfortable in an aircraft that's got a proper, you know, sort of steering wheel than the little joystick in the corner. It's always a bit.
Yeah.
I know, so we're on the subject I know loads about now.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
You triggered her.
I come alive.
Yeah. I still think, from a technology point of view, I wonder if maybe it's easier to land a plane than it is to drive a car from here to, say, I don't know, 200 miles away on a variety of roads and weathers.
I'll give there are a few. Yeah, you're going to say
much more controlled environment. Flying.
Yeah.
The question is not necessarily I'm not afraid of the technology. The technology inevitably will get us there. The question that's not yet been asked enough is what's the advantage of taking the driver out? There are so many scenarios and startups that are developing their entire business cases based around, you know, this driverless vehicle, and sometimes you ask, well, why does this service not work with a driver? You know, if this, you know, all these mobility services and, you know, on-demand mobile shared driving, the taxis that pick you up and drop you off and do all this.
It's called a bus.
Why does that not work with a driver who has a screen in front of him telling him where to go next? And that's the question that's not been asked enough. Is actually the economics of it. Is the autonomous vehicle actually going to be cheaper than just paying somebody to drive the thing?
Yeah.
I think also.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think there's also the problem with these things that, I mean, there's also a huge social cost to this, because if you bring in autonomous vehicles, you're talking about mass unemployment when you think about it. Because it's, I mean, you know, when you think about it, if we had autonomous vehicles, we wouldn't have bus drivers, we wouldn't have delivery truck drivers, we wouldn't have people delivering mail. I mean, like, the huge impact of all this is, I don't think really, it's not just the vehicle, it's the society aspect of it. There's also the aspect about safety. What happens when it fails?
It's an entire system. You can't just say it's a vehicle on its own. You have to have the rest of the infrastructure around it. This is a debate that could go on for many, many hours, by the way.
Yeah. To paraphrase what you guys are all saying there, autonomous cars are a dead end and I win.
The economics of it can be quite, if countries and municipalities actually look at this holistically, they'll probably come to the conclusion that it's cheaper and more cost effective to actually leave a driver in the loop than it is to automate it, because the guy who's driving the street cleaning truck in the morning, if he's not doing that, what else are you going to be paying him to do, kind of thing. And I think it was a conversation I had a while ago with someone in the industry where, if maybe a generation ago we were concerned that your job's so easy that in the future a robot's going to be doing it, that it's actually going to be the other way around. It's going to be your job is so low value that it's not going to be worth letting a robot do it. It's actually going to make more economical sense just to let the guy sit there and keep doing it, because otherwise he's going to be unemployed.
Yeah. Cool. That was interesting. Okay. Right. Next question then. So, Mitsubishi Evo 6 Tommy Mackinnon edition is better than a Subaru 22B.
Don't know.
Don't know, Alan. Come on, Alan.
Come on, Alan.
Pick one. Pick one.
Come on.
We've got a bit of a split going on at the moment, Alan. You need to.
Yes,
gonna go with
there we
green.
go.
I've got a problem here because I'm about to become a Subaru person.
You are?
Never thought I was
Yeah.
going to be.
Are you doing a BRZ, are you?
I've ordered a BRZ.
Yeah, I'm surprised at you. Okay.
Yes,
So's he.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, funny enough, following on from the previous question about autonomous vehicles, this makes sense. The next 15 years will see the automotive world evolve beyond all recognition.
How many years? Sorry.
15.
15-ish.
15, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be literally everything from the way we look at car ownership to usage to everything. I think the whole lot's going to change. Obviously, powertrains and all that kind of stuff as well. But
you think hydrogen? Could you extend? Oh God, you've had me your next question. You think it could be like hydrogen is going to come in?
I don't know. I mean, I've driven a hydrogen car. It's really cool. I just don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Infrastructure's a bit of an issue, isn't it?
Oh God, infrastructure is terrible.
Depends where you are in the world.
Yeah, absolutely, Alan. Yeah, I remember the Toyota guy. Oh, sorry, go on, Nia.
I don't think we're going to see hydrogen significantly in passenger cars in the next 15 years. In long haul trucks, buses, that kind of stuff for sure. But
trialing it in Switzerland already for that.
Oh, okay. Cool. Right. So, again, similar. At some point in the future, would you consider giving up car ownership for a well-managed, efficient, and effective on-demand car share scheme? That's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think so. Really? Are we all saying no?
You said giving up. I can see me and many other people using it on a daily basis for all the daily stuff. But
you mean like a car share?
Yeah.
But because of that, it will just let us buy the toy, the plaything, the weekend. That is what we actually want. So it won't mean giving up. It'll mean that the car that we own will be something that's not a or singing or dancing daily car.
But isn't that defeating the object of it? Because I kind of get the feeling that legislation, ultimately, it will take us away. It will take us down this route anyway. But then, if we're going to have a car as well as a car share scheme, then that seems like counterproductive.
We're going to end up with the horse discussion at this rate.
Which I've been having on Twitter the last day or two.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to short circuit it. But yeah, it ends up, that essentially our fun cars are being kept like horses, but also significantly cheaper because we don't have to muck them out, or they're not going to tramp on us, or any of the other horrible things that horses do.
But there isn't a culture. I mean, like, isn't it the case that for Generation Z and stuff, there isn't a culture to buy a car? I mean, that's the point. I mean, like, we're all a similar age here, I hope. But I mean, the reality is that, I mean, if you talk to a lot of young people, they don't have cars.
Again, it depends where you're talking to them.
Well, I mean, like, a lot of young people tend to be in the city.
If you go and you interview people and you it's the whole thing. You can make a survey to say whatever you want it to say. But if you go and you survey them in the city, then yes, that's going to be the case. If you go and you survey them in rural Utah, for example, that's not going to be the case because you need the car. In Scotland, where Wales, you're going to get very different results compared to if you go to I don't know, Hampstead or somewhere. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's good. You're right.
My soapbox.
Right. Right. Okay.
I mean, I live over Dublin. I mean, I live in the countryside, so I need a car.
Yeah.
If I lived about 10 kilometers away, I've no need for a car.
Yeah. And I don't imagine in the future there would be I don't know, but a car share scheme where you can summon an autonomous vehicle, because it's a dead end, but you can summon an autonomous vehicle to come to your house and pick you up.
It's called a taxi.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, it's a taxi.
That's true.
They did try. I mean, they tried for a minute. I'm going back. I don't know if we've moved on. I'm going back to the car share thing. Sorry.
That's right.
But they did try it for quite a number of years in California, with the diamond lanes, just to obviously try and encourage vehicles off the road. But it didn't. It's not. A lot of people sort of got involved, but it still only works when people live in the similar area, or obviously work in the same place. And this was around Silicon Valley, so it was probably one of the best places to try it, because you know, a lot of people work in Silicon Valley, but they've still ended up making those lanes into more like HOV lanes that are just radar, and you just get charged instead, you know, which I guess it still would encourage you to attempt a car share, you know, because the less times you get your radar, you know, sort of pinged, then the less it costs you. But they've tried that. So anyway, sorry if I'm going off a bit in a tangent.
Thank you very much. That was nice.
Mark, your quick fire questions are turning out to be proper life-changing stuff.
I'll do one more and then we'll just call it quits. I think I've got 3 more. But yeah, in rallying, the Group B days were the best.
What days?
The Group B days.
I
don't know. I didn't watch it.
Were they best for killing people? Is that what?
Yes, everyone.
That's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, they died, but they were.
It's a good point, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Mark. Thanks for those.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks everyone for their input.
No, it's been good. It's been great to have some quick fire questions from you, and lots to talk about, lots to debate there, and hopefully a lot of people watching along either agreed or disagree. But that's it. I mean, we're now already well past the usual finish time, which is no surprise really, and I'd like to first of all thank the guys who have turned up today for coming along, because I know now that lockdown's finished, well, pretty much finished over in the UK, it's we've all got lives and busy jobs to do and that kind of thing. And when ZoomZoomers first started, it was all coming together because there wasn't really much else to do. Whereas now there's plenty to do. So I really appreciate that lots of people are still coming along and people are watching the videos along. But we're obviously no Craig here, so no fact of the day. He did point out that Takuma Sato, hopefully no spoilers here, but Takuma Sato managed to win the Indy 500 for the second time, which is fantastic, and good. Well done to him against some fantastic competition as well. So that would have been his fact, was about Takuma Sato winning the Indy 500 for the second time.
And did he mention about the first time he won, Alonso was also racing as well?
Yeah. So yeah, Alonso's not really stood up to. Well, I think Max Chilton beat him again this time round. So yeah, if Alonso's going to do that. That magical triple header, is it the Monaco, the Le Mans and Indy 500, which I still think Montoya's got a better chance of doing, but that's a debate for another day. Then yeah, he needs to step up the game or find a better team or something in IndyCar. But for now, anyway, so for anyone who's watching along or watching during the week, it'd be fantastic if you could subscribe. There is a button down in that far corner to subscribe and like the video as well. And we really appreciate you watching along and hope to see you again here next week. I believe we'll do another one again. We aim to do every Monday, 8 p.m. Live on YouTube, and then of course the videos are there for all time for you to see, and hopefully we'll have some special guests on. We haven't had a chance to bring on some special guests this time round, but nearly an hour and a half anyway, so fantastic. Thanks ever so much for everyone for their input, and I hope to see you all again next week. Thank you very much.
Cool. See you later.
See you later.
See you.